Stop for a second and ask yourself this. Who are you avoiding becoming? Not who you want to be, but the version of yourself you're quietly creating through avoidance, comfort, and delay. Every task you postpone, every uncomfortable truth you ignore, every moment you choose ease over effort, that person is already forming. The scary truth, most people never notice it until it's too late. The life you fear living is quietly building itself from your own inaction. If you keep avoiding today, that version of you will become the person you wake up as tomorrow. After confronting the truth in that hook, the next step is to recognize the signs that the person you've been avoiding is already forming. They are subtle. They are quiet. They creep into your habits, your thoughts, and the decisions you make every day. Most people never notice them because they feel small at first, harmless even. But over weeks, months, and years, these signs compound into an identity that may shock you if you don't act. Do you avoid responsibility? Even small delays, skipped tasks, and excuses matter. Each time you push something off, you are reinforcing a pattern. You are quietly building a version of yourself that is careless and unaccountable. Talent and opportunity don't matter if your habits are shaping a version of you who cannot deliver. Do you avoid discomfort? Growth doesn't come from ease. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, every time you dodge hard work or skip an opportunity because it's inconvenient, you are training yourself to stay small. The habits you ignore now are building a version of you who fears struggle, shies away from challenge, and settles for mediocrity. Do you avoid difficult truths? Are you lying to yourself about your effort, progress, or capabilities? Every denial and excuse quietly builds someone who avoids accountability and refuses to confront reality. Over time, this version of yourself becomes familiar, and soon it feels normal to live below your potential. Even your daily routines reveal the signs. How often do you let distraction take over? How often do you choose scrolling or passive entertainment over action? Each time you give in, your identity aligns more with avoidance, procrastination, and small thinking. Avoidance doesn't just stop you from growing, it builds the life you fear. The scary truth is that it's cumulative. Each choice to avoid, each habit of comfort, each skipped responsibility is a brick in the foundation of the person you are quietly becoming. That life may look normal on the surface, but inside your potential is being buried. Let's make this real with an example. Two colleagues enter the same company with equal talent. One avoids challenging projects, procrastinates, and skirts accountability. The other seeks challenge, tackles discomfort, and pushes themselves beyond what feels easy. A year later, the first is stagnant, frustrated, and stuck. The second is growing, respected, and confident. The difference isn't luck, it's who they allowed themselves to become through daily choices. The key takeaway: the person you avoid becoming is already forming. The habits, behaviors, and patterns that seem harmless today are quietly constructing a version of yourself that may not align with your goals, values, or potential. Ignoring the signs only allows the process to continue. But there is hope. Awareness gives you control. The moment you recognize these signs, you gain the power to intervene. You can start making deliberate choices. You can tackle uncomfortable tasks, confront hard truths, and build habits that align with the person you truly want to be. Every intentional action is a step away from avoidance and toward growth. Ask yourself honestly, what patterns am I repeating today that will define me tomorrow? Who am I slowly becoming through avoidance, distraction, and comfort? Recognize these truths, name them, understand them, and then make a conscious choice to act differently. Because the person you fear becoming is forming now, but the person you want to become can also form, deliberately, consciously, and courageously. The difference comes down to your choices today. Not yesterday, not tomorrow. It starts now. If you've recognized the signs that the person you fear is already forming, the next step is understanding the habits that build them. Habits are the invisible architects of identity. Every repeated choice, no matter how small, is a brick in the foundation of the life you are living and the person you are becoming. Avoidance, procrastination, and comfort are not harmless. They are the silent forces creating someone you may regret. Start with small comforts. Every time you choose scrolling over work, binge watching over action or excuses over effort, you are reinforcing a pattern. It may feel insignificant today, but habits compound faster than you realize. The person you are avoiding is often built in the quiet moments where no one is watching, when your choices feel private and inconsequential. That's exactly when identity forms away from praise, reward, or recognition. Then there's procrastination. Each delayed decision, task postponed, or responsibility avoided is shaping your life. It teaches your brain that delay is safe and effort is risky. Procrastination is more than a habit. It's a training ground for avoidance. Over time, the mind adapts, and the easier path becomes automatic. You don't have to confront this consciously. You just follow the habits you've reinforced, slowly becoming someone who avoids challenges, fears, discomfort, and settles for mediocrity. Another habit to watch is avoidance of reflection. If you never look inward, you will never correct your trajectory. Avoiding self-reflection is convenient in the moment, but it teaches your mind to ignore truth. The result is a slow drift into patterns that feel normal, even if they don't serve your potential. Self-awareness is the antidote. Daily reflection, even for a few minutes, interrupts the automatic formation of avoidance-based identity and allows intentional growth to take root. Comfort seeking is another subtle but powerful habit. Every time you choose the easy way over the hard way, your identity shifts. Comfort is seductive because it feels safe, but safety is an illusion. Comfort doesn't protect you. It confines you. It shapes your mind to resist challenge, avoid discomfort, and fear the effort required for growth. Over months and years, those moments accumulate, building a version of yourself who fears risk, delays decisions, and quietly accepts limitation. Neglecting accountability is also a key habit. When you fail to hold yourself responsible for your actions, you build someone who blames circumstances, waits for external validation, and avoids consequences. This habit is especially dangerous because it's invisible. No one may be watching, but your identity is learning to avoid responsibility. The person you fear becoming is shaped not by grand failures, but by consistent small failures to act with integrity, honesty, and courage. And yet, habits are not destiny. They are tools. Recognizing which habits are forming the version of yourself you avoid gives you the power to redirect them. Small, intentional changes in daily behavior can reverse the trajectory. Choosing discomfort over ease, action over delay, and reflection over ignorance gradually dismantles the habits that create avoidance-based identity. Every deliberate act is a message to your brain. This is the person I am choosing to become. Consider your own daily routines. What habits are you repeating automatically? How often do you choose the easy path, skip reflection, or avoid responsibility? These are not just bad habits. They are identity builders. Each one shapes the person you are becoming. Ignoring them allows avoidance, comfort, and procrastination to write your story for you. Confronting them allows deliberate, intentional growth to take control. The message is simple, but profound. Habits create identity. The person you are avoiding becoming is not built overnight. They are formed day by day, choice by choice, habit by habit. Awareness is the first step, but action is what changes the trajectory. Begin with small, consistent acts that challenge, comfort, demand effort, and require accountability. With time, these habits will overwrite the patterns that form the person you fear, replacing them with someone capable, courageous, and intentional. By now, you understand the signs and habits that are quietly shaping the person you fear becoming, but recognizing the consequences, the real cost of avoidance, is what drives urgency. Avoidance doesn't just delay progress. It erodes your life bit by bit until the person you never wanted to be is standing in front of you. Every avoided responsibility comes with a hidden toll. It might not hurt today, but over time it compounds. Missed opportunities, delayed decisions, and unfulfilled promises quietly accumulate. The life you dream of starts to feel distant, like it belongs to someone else. Your energy diminishes, confidence wanes, and the habits of avoidance solidify into a lifestyle. The longer you avoid, the harder it becomes to reclaim your potential. Avoidance also costs clarity and control. Every time you ignore a challenge, delay a decision, or sidestep accountability, you allow life to dictate your direction. The longer you let this happen, the more your identity drifts. You may feel busy, distracted, or just surviving. But survival is not growth. Avoidance is surrender, disguised as comfort. And surrender has a high price. Another cost is lost confidence. Each time you avoid a difficult task, uncomfortable conversation, or personal challenge, you send a signal to yourself, I am not capable. Over weeks and months, those moments accumulate, teaching your mind to fear action, resist challenge, and settle for mediocrity. Confidence is built through deliberate effort, not avoidance. Every act of avoidance quietly undermines the very self-belief you need to achieve your goals. Avoidance also affects your relationships and influence. When you avoid accountability or shy away from difficult conversations, it erodes trust. People begin to notice patterns. They see hesitation, indecision, or inconsistency. Your ability to lead, inspire, or support others diminishes because the habits you avoid addressing silently dictate how you show up in the world. Perhaps the most insidious cost is identity drift. You are slowly becoming the person you fear, not suddenly, not dramatically, but incrementally. Every small decision to avoid challenge, delay action, or choose comfort over growth adds up. The person you imagine becoming fades as the person formed by avoidance takes shape. This isn't hypothetical. It's the reality for millions who never confront the habits that shape them. Think about the opportunities you've already let slip away, the skills you didn't develop, the risks you didn't take, the goals you didn't pursue, all because you chose comfort or avoidance in the moment. Each one represents a small but significant cost, a brick in the life of the person you never wanted to be. The good news is that awareness allows reversal. Once you recognize the cost of avoidance, you can act intentionally. Every deliberate choice, every uncomfortable step taken, every challenge embraced becomes a countermeasure to the cost. You can reclaim control of your identity, rebuild confidence, and align your habits with the person you want to become. But urgency is critical. The cost doesn't wait. Each day spent avoiding adds to the cumulative impact. Every postponed decision and every delayed action compounds the life of the person you fear. Awareness alone is not enough. You must act deliberately and consistently to reverse the trajectory. Ask yourself honestly, what am I losing by avoiding responsibility, challenge, and discomfort? How much of my life, energy, and potential has already been shaped by avoidance? The answers are sobering, but they are also empowering because they give you the opportunity to take control. Avoidance is expensive. It drains your time, energy, confidence, and influence. It quietly builds a version of yourself you may regret. The cost is real, and it is compounding every day. The only way to reverse it is through deliberate action, intentional habits, and courageous decisions. Every choice you make today can undo the life that avoidance has been forming, and every moment you delay allows it to continue. Now that you've recognized the signs, habits, and costs of avoidance, the question becomes, how do you break free? How do you stop the slow, quiet formation of the person you fear and start becoming someone intentional, courageous, and fully alive? The answer is simpler than most people think, but it requires deliberate action, consistency, and a willingness to embrace discomfort. The first step is awareness and action. Awareness alone is not enough. Knowing that avoidance shapes your identity is only the starting point. You must pair that awareness with conscious choices. Every day, commit to identifying at least one area where you are avoiding responsibility. Challenge your truth. Confront it head on. Decide to act instead of delaying, to speak instead of deflecting blame. Awareness without action only prolongs the cycle. Next, embrace small, consistent acts of courage. You don't need to leap into the biggest challenge immediately. Start with small things. Finish a task you've been putting off, have a difficult conversation you've been avoiding, or face one fear that's been holding you back. Each small act sends a message to your brain. You are choosing action over avoidance. Repetition builds habits, habits build character, and character shapes identity. Another critical step is structuring your environment for accountability. Avoidance thrives in isolation and distraction. And where no one is watching, surround yourself with people, systems, and routines that hold you accountable. Make it visible, track progress, share your goals. When avoidance is harder than action, you'll find yourself naturally leaning toward growth. Challenge your comfort zones deliberately. Comfort is seductive because it feels safe, but safety is an illusion. Growth lives in discomfort. The more you practice leaning into what feels uncomfortable, starting with small, manageable steps, the more your resilience grows. Each act of deliberate discomfort rewrites your identity, slowly replacing avoidance with courage, laziness with discipline, and fear with action. Reflection is also essential. End each day by asking yourself, where did I avoid today? Where did I act deliberately? What can I do tomorrow to be more intentional? These questions are not just self-examination. They are tools to reinforce habits that counter avoidance. They help you internalize lessons, celebrate small victories, and maintain momentum. Without reflection, the cycle of avoidance silently resumes. Visualization can amplify this process. Imagine the person you fear becoming and contrast it with the person you want to be. Hold that vision daily. Let it guide decisions, shape priorities, and act as a constant reminder that every choice matters. Visualization paired with action creates a bridge between intention and reality, helping you steer your identity deliberately rather than drift unconsciously. Finally, understand that breaking free is a continuous process, not a one-time event. Avoidance is ingrained because it has been practiced for years. You will stumble, falter, and feel resistance. That is normal. What matters is persistence. Each time you confront avoidance, each time you choose action, each time you embrace discomfort, you reclaim your identity. You rewrite who you are becoming. The key principle is simple. Action trumps avoidance, consistently and deliberately. Awareness sets the stage. Small acts of courage build momentum. Reflection and accountability maintain direction. Discomfort teaches resilience. Together, these steps allow you to take control of the person you are becoming, intentionally, consciously, courageously. Remember, the person you fear becoming is only inevitable if you allow avoidance to continue unchecked. Each deliberate choice to act, each step toward challenge, and each moment of discomfort taken intentionally is a declaration: I am choosing the person I want to become, not the person I've been avoiding. Breaking free from avoidance isn't just about small victories in the moment. It's about transforming the trajectory of your life. Every deliberate choice, every uncomfortable action, every habit replaced with intention compounds over time. The long-term impact is profound. The person you once feared becoming is replaced by someone strong, capable, and fully alive. Think about your habits and choices like seeds. Every act of avoidance plants a seed of limitation. Every act of deliberate courage plants a seed of growth. At first, these seeds may seem invisible. You might not notice changes immediately, but time is the gardener. The seeds you plant daily grow quietly, steadily, shaping your future identity. Over months and years, the cumulative effect of deliberate action creates a life and a self that you once thought impossible. Breaking avoidance reshapes your mindset. You start to see challenges not as threats, but as opportunities. Discomfort no longer signals danger. It signals growth. Responsibility is no longer a burden. It is a tool to create mastery and respect. Your brain rewires itself around resilience, courage, and intentionality. You stop letting fear and procrastination dictate your choices. The person you are becoming is no longer a reflection of avoidance, but of conscious, deliberate action. It also reshapes your confidence. Every time you face a fear, complete a difficult task, or confront a truth you'd been avoiding, your confidence grows. It compounds like interest in a bank account. Over time, these small acts of courage build unshakable self-belief. You begin to trust your own abilities, your decisions, and your capacity to face challenges without running away. Confidence becomes habitual. because avoidance no longer dominates your behavior. Your relationships and influence are transformed as well. Avoidance erodes trust and diminishes your ability to lead, inspire, and contribute. By choosing deliberate action, accountability, and honesty, you naturally become someone others respect and follow. People notice the consistency, the courage, and the integrity. You become a model of reliability, discipline, and growth. Someone who uplifts others by the way you live intentionally. Breaking avoidance also unlocks untapped potential. The energy once wasted on excuses, distractions, and procrastination is now available to invest in meaningful pursuits. You can focus on your goals, skills, and ambitions with clarity and purpose. What once felt impossible now becomes achievable because your daily actions support the person you intend to become. The long-term impact is not only external, it is internal and identity-based. When avoidance no longer defines your choices, your identity shifts. You are no longer someone who runs from discomfort, responsibility, or truth. You become someone who faces life head-on, who embraces challenges, who refuses to let fear dictate direction. This is profound because identity shapes every decision, every relationship, and every opportunity that follows. The compounding effect of these changes is astonishing. Small, deliberate actions accumulate over time to create massive results. 1 year of consistent, intentional behavior creates a person unrecognizable from the one defined by avoidance. 5 years creates someone who is disciplined, courageous, and highly capable. 10 years build a life that reflects mastery, purpose, and fulfillment. The long-term impact is the difference between a life of regret and a life of achievement. But this doesn't happen magically. It requires consistent choice, reflection, and courage. You will stumble, you will falter, and avoidance will tempt you back. What matters is persistence, continuing to act deliberately, day after day, until the habits of avoidance are replaced by habits of courage and intention. The truth is simple but powerful. Every moment you resist avoidance strengthens your future self. Every uncomfortable action, every act of responsibility, and every choice to face reality compounds into a life of clarity, growth, and purpose. This is why breaking avoidance now is critical, because the long-term impact will define the person you will be tomorrow, 5 years from now, and beyond. Recognizing the signs, habits, costs, and long-term impact of avoidance is one thing, but awareness alone doesn't change your life. What truly transforms identity is daily practice, consistent, intentional actions that reinforce courage, responsibility, and growth. These practices are small, often invisible, but compounded over time, they define who you are becoming. The first practice is morning intentionality. How you start your day sets the tone for your mindset, habits, and actions. Begin each day by identifying the one thing you would normally avoid, the task, conversation, or challenge you've been putting off. Commit to tackling it first. This is not about doing everything at once. It's about building the habit of confronting avoidance proactively. A morning habit of intentional action signals to your brain that discomfort and responsibility are normal, even desirable. Next is daily reflection. At the end of each day, pause and ask, where did I avoid? Where did I act deliberately? What small step can I take tomorrow to align with the person I want to become? These moments of reflection keep you accountable to yourself. They highlight patterns of avoidance before they solidify into identity. Reflection turns experience into insight, and insight into deliberate action. Another essential practice is micro-challenges throughout the day. Don't wait for massive opportunities to test yourself. Seek small acts of discomfort consistently. Initiate a difficult conversation. Take responsibility for a minor mistake. Push through a task you'd rather skip. These micro-challenges train your brain to resist avoidance naturally. Over time, they accumulate into resilience, courage, and a habitual rejection of comfort that no longer serves growth. Tracking your progress is equally important. Keep a journal, a checklist, or even a simple habit tracker. Document moments of avoidance and deliberate action. Seeing progress visually reinforces the choices you're making and provides motivation when discomfort tempts you back into old patterns. Accountability doesn't have to be external. Your own record can become a powerful tool for change. Another critical daily practice is focus on key priorities. Avoidance often masquerades as busyness or distraction. Identify 2 to 3 high-impact tasks each day and commit to completing them. Resist the temptation of low-value tasks or easy comforts that feel productive but don't move your life forward. Prioritization keeps energy, focus, and action aligned with the person you want to become. Embrace physical and mental discipline as part of daily reinforcement. Simple routines like exercise, meditation, or consistent sleep create a foundation for resilience. When your body and mind are disciplined, your ability to face challenges and resist avoidance strengthens naturally. Physical discomfort and mental focus practice reinforce the same principle in identity. Consistent effort leads to consistent growth. Finally, practice gratitude and self-compassion. Growth is uncomfortable, and you will stumble. Daily acknowledgement of small wins and gentle recognition of failures prevents discouragement. Gratitude shifts focus from what's missing to what's gained through deliberate action, while self-compassion prevents avoidance born from shame or fear. Together, they maintain momentum without surrendering to guilt or frustration. The power of daily practice lies in consistency, not intensity. It is not about grand gestures every day. It is about repeated, deliberate choices that reinforce courage, accountability, and action. Each day you act intentionally, you overwrite patterns of avoidance. Each reflection, micro-challenge, and habit compounds into the person you truly want to become. Remember, identity is built day by day, habit by habit, choice by choice. By embedding deliberate growth-oriented practices into your daily life, you reclaim control over the person you are becoming. Avoidance loses power, courage, discipline, and intention take root. Your future self is written not by chance, but by the deliberate practices you commit to today. By now, you've seen the signs, habits, costs, long-term impact, and daily practices that shape the person you are becoming. But awareness and action lead to something even more profound, an identity shift. This is the moment when deliberate choices, consistent habits, and courageous actions stop being temporary efforts and start defining who you are at your core. Identity shift is not a sudden event. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens quietly, gradually, as the cumulative effect of countless small decisions. Each act of courage replaces a habit of avoidance. Each deliberate choice rewrites the story you tell yourself about who you are. Each time you face discomfort, instead of fleeing, you strengthen the neural pathways that define a resilient, intentional, and accountable identity. The person you once feared becoming is still there, but they no longer control you. You have interrupted the patterns, confronted the avoidance, and rebuilt your habits intentionally. Over time, the version of yourself formed by fear, procrastination, and comfort is replaced with someone capable, disciplined, and aligned with your goals. This is identity transformation, the conscious creation of the self you were meant to become. Think about it. Your life until now has been shaped by habits, choices, and avoidance. The next chapter can be different, but only if you choose it deliberately. Every task completed despite discomfort, every conversation faced despite difficulty, these are the building blocks of your new identity. Over months and years, these small actions add up to a self that others notice, respect, and trust. Most importantly, it's a self you can respect and trust. The identity shift also reshapes your perception of challenges. What once felt threatening now feels like opportunity. Discomfort becomes the signal of growth. Responsibility becomes a tool, and accountability becomes empowering instead of intimidating. You start living life on your terms because your identity is no longer dictated by fear or avoidance. It's dictated by intention, courage, and choice. Breaking avoidance and creating intentional habits also impacts your relationships and influence. People notice consistency, courage, and accountability. You become someone who inspires through action, not just words. You show up for yourself, and by extension, you show up for others. The ripple effect of your identity shift extends far beyond your own life. It shapes your environment, your opportunities, and the people around you. The final step in solidifying this identity is commitment to lifelong growth. Avoidance is a persistent force. It will try to creep back in if left unchecked. Continuous reflection, deliberate action, and small, consistent practices ensure that the person you are becoming remains intentional, aligned, and resilient. Growth is not linear, but with consistency, it is unstoppable. Ask yourself now, who do you want to be? Not tomorrow, not next year. Who do you want to define you in the moment, in your decisions, in your daily life? The person you feared becoming is forming silently if you do nothing. But the person you choose to become can also form intentionally, courageously, consistently. That choice is yours. Here's the truth that will guide you. Identity is not inherited. It is built, one choice at a time, one action at a time, one moment of courage at a time. The person you were avoiding can no longer define you unless you allow it. The person you want to become is waiting, and the first step is the deliberate action you take today. So start now. Confront your avoidance. Build the habits that reinforce courage, responsibility, and reflection. Embrace discomfort as your teacher. Let accountability guide you. And remember, the person you avoid becoming is already forming, but so is the person you are choosing to become. Make sure it's the latter.